Okay, let's talk about what we think the upzoning means to the city of Seattle. And to me, the upzoning means that it's going to create more affordability and livability within the city so that wage earners can afford to live within the city. There's a crisis going on where we have more employment coming into the city and we don't have the affordable housing to supply to these people because it's taking more than 50% of their income with the way rents have gone up to obtain housing. So the city council and the mayor and 28 city leaders, being nonprofit, profit, from all sectors of the community, got together and came up with the housing affordability, livability agenda. And that's what we have today that's going into place to create more density, to create more housing.
I think it'll create more density on the street level, more apartment units, more development. I think it's going to also create a perception with the upzone to existing property owners that their properties are worth a lot more than they really are. I think the way that the city has structured the payout to the affordable housing, that they've really taken the majority of the profit away from the landowners and the property owners on the street.
You're talking about existing landowners?
Yeah, existing landowners are going to have the perception now with the upzone that their properties are going to be very, very valuable and off the chart. But the truth is that the city's taken all that profit out. The cost for the affordable housing, it's very expensive to the developer.
Right, and I agree with that. It's somewhat of a misnomer, the incentive to developers of being able to go up and add a greater footprint when you weigh the cost of that additional construction and then back out the limitations on rents to be received for a certain portion of those units in perpetuity.
Right.
The net effect to the developer from a profit standpoint, I think, is going to be negligible.
I don't hear any developers that we deal with complaining about the HALA. I mean, actually, I think they view it as a plus because they can make the decision, do I want to pay into this fund or do I want to put that affordable housing component on my property?
Right.
So I think actually, all in all, they've come up with a fairly decent plan. I was surprised the way it turned out.
I will counter that, though. Billy and I have recently been actively marketing a development site up on Capitol Hill, which is kind of in the real heart of where the HALA and MHA regulations are going to take place in a big way. And it was interesting, as we were marketing this property, there was kind of a race to get the project tied up and get it entitled before these guidelines actually become adopted and go into effect, because the sense was, okay, right now your current zoning 65 feet. Under HALA, I can get to 85 feet, but again, the net effect to me in the long term is going to be negligible. Why go through the additional headache of design and cost, and it's going to bump me up to a concrete and steel construction versus perhaps wood frame. So there's lots going on that is driving people to get their projects entitled before HALA and MHA are enacted.
I hear what you're saying.
So I guess there's some negativity there. It's hard to say whether that's with all developers that are active in the market.
On the scale, though, I hear what you're saying, but what they've done is the cost, and I think it includes Capitol Hill. I know it includes South Lake Union for sure, because you can't build as much. They're not charging as much per square foot.
You're talking about to pay the fee in lieu of incorporating affordable units in your project.
And I would think up on Capitol Hill and South Lake Union, you would pay the fee.
Queen Anne, just to continue, the fee is $29.50 per gross square foot.
Okay, 29.
$29.50. So I've got offers in on 3 properties on Queen Anne that are just over 15,000 square feet apiece. It's the
That's gross square feet, not just unit.
That's
square
correct.
feet. That's the floor area. of
That's the
entire-
floor area. So the example is this: if you were going to pay $350, $360 a foot for 65-foot land, when you add the other fees on, it adds $150 a square foot to the cost of the land. And that's what hurts the developers, because the sellers think that they want that upside, but really $150 a foot. So the seller's really selling their property for $515 a foot instead of $350. And so, but most of that goes back to the city. It doesn't go into
For them to build affordable housing on other
That's right.
public lands that aren't being well utilized. But with that being said, at the same time that it's adding that much, which is significant,
Yeah.
what you're stating, rents continue to escalate. Every time I turn around, and I think you were telling me the other day, Rich, that you went to an open house and the rents at the new project at First in Virginia, Claudio's,
Yeah.
are $5.50, $6 a square foot
Yeah.
as you go up to the top. So,
Right.
and close to the market, rents are, $4.50, $5 a square foot. And it was just a year and a half, 2 years ago, we were penciling out, oh, wow, do you think they're going to get to $3.30, $3.50 a square foot? I think that, there's got to be some end in sight, of course, but they're going to make up for it with rents.
It comes down to supply and demand. And I think where the city's gotten off course here is that they restrict the developers for supplying the supply. They're making it really hard to build more units, and they're putting a lot of handcuffs and a lot of conditions and a lot of fees on the development. And if we have a housing problem in the city, let's build more housing, but they're making it very, very difficult on developers to build more housing.
Yeah, and as those fees go up, something's got to give
Yeah.
somewhere, and I don't know what that's going to be, either higher rents or it's going to be depressed values of land as we move on. One of my concerns as well, I've done a fair amount of research into all of this, and nowhere do I see any discussion about paying the fee in lieu of providing
Correct.
actual units. So where does that money go? How is it managed? How are they going to put that to work in building affordable projects? There's really not a lot of discussion in what I've read.
I guess you can make the assumption that if developers are paying in lieu of doing something, if they're paying that fee, that goes into a fund that then the city would then build affordable housing with that. And I don't know, there's a whole amount of mechanisms that need to be. Yeah.
I think there are some positives. We've been focusing a little bit on some of the potential negatives or possible pitfalls, but I think, Rich, you were saying earlier, the increasing density in our close-in urban neighborhoods is a positive.
It's important.
Preventing sprawl. There's a move to the cities throughout the country, and so we're also making moves to create the infrastructure to support that with transportation and so forth. So I think that's a positive.